Kaz Risk, and welcome back to Koppai Podcast, episode 27. I'm one of your hosts, Kaz Risk, joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zach Risk.
One thing.
What?
Sorry.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
We'll restart the whole thing.
No, we won't. We're going to keep going. We're doing it live. We'll do it live. I don't know what Zach's doing. Oh, he's shutting the window because we're doing this in Zach's house with absolutely no air conditioning, and it's hot. Real quick, let me open up my app. My weather app, and I'm going to see how exactly hot it is outside. 93 degrees. And we're doing Koppai on the fly.
Not bad. We're seriously just going to keep going with it?
Yeah, we're just, why not?
All right. That's fine.
So, hi.
Hello.
Introducing you.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Yeah, hey, so everyone start clapping for Zach. Yeah. Round of applause. We don't have a special guest on this week, but that's fine. We don't need him. Although I do really miss Zine. We have to have Zine back on. And I saw...
Just for fun, for no reason, really.
And I saw Matt was posting, he was tweeting a lot during E3. I don't know if they were at E3 with Hive Jump. But he actually tweeted at me. I tweeted about my Miyamoto outfit, because I got the new Zelda outfit, and he was like, very nice. Like, looks cool. And I'm just like, that's so cool that, like, this game I'm super pumped for, the guy that's making it's like, nice Miyamoto outfit.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
I love Koppai, and I love being a part of this gaming industry. We actually have a little bit of house cleaning to do.
House cleeping.
Cleeping, yep. There's socks, some shirts, other objects on the floor, just dripping all over the carpet, and we need to clean them up, mop them up, vacuum them up, and put them away so we can go on with our normal podcast. So for those listening at home, if you want to support us, hop over to patreon.com/Koppai Productions, where you can give us $1 and you will get 4 episodes for just $1, each one an hour long. And there's going to be another episode coming up here very soon for the month of July. It won't be the first week of July, probably. We may try to, but you may have to wait till it's mid-July and we'll get that one done. But March, April, May, June... Go at it. You get 4 hours for $1. Not bad at all. And you also get to support us, help us live our dreams, and make Koppai a reality. But if you want a free episode, next week we're going to be doing our Game of the Year watch, where we sit down and we talk about what game has caught our fancy in the first half of 2016. We're halfway through the year at that point. It'll be definitively the half year. Like 1 week short, but it'll be halfway through the year. So we'll look back at games like Star Fox. We'll look back at even maybe at necessarily like non-Nintendo games. What games have captivated us? Maybe what games we've played that may not have come out this year, but what we've enjoyed, and kind of project in the future also of what games will be on our radar for Game of the Year. Because then at the end of 2016, we'll do a year in review for gaming. So look forward to that next week. We're going to be recording that and giving you a preview of our Patreon episodes with 15-minute snippets of our Patreon episodes the following week. All of that is because this Saturday, June 25th, I am going on a stage with a girl, and we're going to say vows, and I'm going to get married. And then I'm going to go on a honeymoon, and then we're going to move. And so it's going to be bam, bam, bam. In the course of 2 weeks, it's going to be just craziness. And so we're not going to do like any new episodes, any fresh news and stuff. We will have plenty of discussion for the Koppai Nation because we haven't missed a week since we started doing our rebranded Koppai.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, 1 week. It's my last Sunday being a single man.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah. You've been married for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
A few weeks.
Yeah, it's going great. Yeah. Although she hasn't been here much because of the whole air
conditioning, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had it fixed for 1 week, and she was back. And now it crapped out like 2 days ago, and she was like, see ya. I'm out of here. I'm going back home to my parents for a little... They just live like right across town, so...
Yeah, it's not too bad. Like, you guys sit here and hang out a lot.
Yeah, but it's brutal here. But I, like, tolerate the heat. Mm-hmm. She, like, really hates the heat.
Well, if you have a fan on your face, you're kind of fine.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's just hard to like have a fan on everyone's face wherever you go, whenever you're moving and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. I lived in an apartment in Minneapolis where we didn't have any air conditioning for like I lived there for like a whole month, and it was like a hot summer.
Tomorrow morning it's supposed to get fixed, so supposedly it'll be working again.
And that's probably when we'll record our bonus episodes and stuff. So that'll be good. That'll be convenient. So yeah, we're gonna have those up. I'm excited to get married though. I think we've mentioned her in a couple episodes, so she's cool. We play a lot of Mario Kart together.
Yeah.
She loves Miitomo, so she's a good girl. You know. That's the one you want to marry.
She loves Miitomo more than you and I both.
I think she's probably one of like the biggest advocates for Miitomo.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, what drives me crazy is she doesn't have it connected to a Nintendo account, so she's made no coins to get any freebies, which sucks because I want to use her coins to get discounts on games that I want. Because you just get a code; it's not like tied to your account. So I could be getting a lot of free games because she uses it so much. I wonder if those build up, and if she connects her account, if they'll just sync over, and she has like a bunch built up. I'll have to check that. Although I doubt Nintendo is probably like, oh, you didn't link it up, you don't get any. That's what you get. But yeah, so that's, I think, really the only piece of housekeeping that we have. Right?
Indeed. I think so.
Getting married this week. And so if we are low activity as well, that's also why I'm going to put my phone down for the honeymoon. Going to South Dakota, the Black Hills. If you guys want to do a meet and greet, meet me in Rapid City. And we'll hang out. Although where we're staying, we have like a very cute bed and breakfast that we're staying at for a honeymoon. I looked it up on Google Maps the other day. That thing is in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by forests and woods. And I went on Google Maps, I put in the address, and it like showed it on Google Maps, and I zoomed out, and then I clicked my mouse wheel again, and again, and it just kept going farther and farther and farther, and it was just woods, and then I started to see an interstate, and I'm like, oh, what is that? And then there was Rapid City, so it is some isolation. So if I don't ever come back on Koppai again, it's because this bed and breakfast was actually a horror site, and we got murdered by some old couple that was just like, welcome and enjoy
That's
your
what I
stay.
predict. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, with your wedding, we were worried about the plane crashing.
Yep.
With my honeymoon, I'm worried about getting murdered by an old couple that runs a bed and breakfast in South Dakota in the Black Hills. I'm pretty sure there's already a horror movie about it.
Yeah, several.
Yeah, I think. Oh, man. So, yeah, well, as much as I'd like to go 27 minutes into Koppai episode 27 before we get into our first news story, I think we can go ahead and maybe be a little bit more timely today because we do have a lot to cover because this past week was E3 2016. And so let's get into it first and foremost with The Legend of Zelda!
The Legend of Zelda.
Breath
of the Wild.
We have a name.
It's
not Zelda 2015 anymore. And then it wasn't Zelda 2016 anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not Zelda 2017 anymore. It is Zelda. It's not even Zelda Wii U anymore.
And it's not even just The Legend of Zelda or The Legend of Zelda, The Legend of Zelda.
Or Broken Promises.
Yeah.
It's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Not Call of the Wild, not Breath of the Wind, not Bread of the Window. Or Breed of the Wool.
Not Stank of the...
Stank of the Epona? 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 No,
Epona.
Reggie Fils-Aimé went on stage and said...
On stage?
Well,
on some platform?
Yeah, like on like a wooden pallet that they put down the E3 show floor.
Yeah.
He went up and stood on it and was like, hey, welcome to Nintendo's Treehouse Live presentation. Moment of silence for Orlando. The screen went black. I was like, all right, they're really going all out. Then it came back, and they're like, by the way, we have a lot to show you today. Let's open it up with a trailer for The Legend of Zelda. And they showed this beautiful trailer, and it showed way more than we saw throughout the rest of the Treehouse Live. As far as, like, Treehouse Live focused on the Great Plateau, I think is what it's called. This trailer showcased armor, it showed all these weapons, it showed the Master Sword at the end, it showed like desert areas, river areas, water. I mean, it was just, they showed a ton of stuff in this one trailer, and stuff that looked absolutely insane. Epic boss fights, going along like kind of like a Gerudo area. Link doing sort of things that we'd never seen him do before. Looked like he was using that patented old Wiimote that looked like a U and stuff, but it's actually a magnet that we did see in the demo. Whole bunch of stuff. What we're going to do for Snippet A is just do our initial reaction to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, stepping back just a moment, Zelda was the most talked about game, just like everywhere. It was just off the charts. I think that the next most talked about game was like half the amount or less than half.
Yeah, there was like
the
a data thing that like was talked about, and that was even only measuring 10% of the conversation.
Right.
And so I mean, it was the amount of discussion and hype around this one game. I mean, what's crazy is you have like Sony knocked it out of the park with their conference, Xbox knocked it out of the park with theirs, and even with a game like Kojima's game, Death Stranding, or even Horizon. I think Horizon may have been I think it was Battlefield 1 that was second place.
Yeah.
Which I mean, these are huge, and Call of Duty and Battlefield are huge games, and Zelda like doubled their their numbers as far as people or tweets or however they measured that. They like used some sort of analytical study to figure out how much was being talked about that, and yeah, it was huge. Game of the show for most gaming outlets, including IGN.
Yeah, IGN's game of the show. It blew people's minds, just absolutely blew people's minds, and I just rewatched the trailer again before recording this podcast. This trailer, it's so beautiful. It was captivating. What I liked a lot about it is that it was just trying to capture this sense of wonder and intriguement without giving a lot of away of the environment. But it just showed the expansiveness. It showed the beauty. It showed some of the little like secrets that you want to go in there and jump in and get. But otherwise, it was basically just a beautiful score making you feel that sense of wonder and charm, and I just thought it was a very well done trailer.
Well, even like the voice acting, like starting off right off the bat, like before you even see anything that tells you this is a new Zelda game, like you just hear Zelda, presumably Zelda talking to you. I think they may have confirmed that actually, that it is Zelda talking to you, saying "Open your eyes, Link, open your eyes," and it's just kind of like almost like breaking the fourth wall and saying like, "Open your eyes, look what we've done here." Like,
have they ever explained with the whole Zelda thing, like how long does this woman live, and is she like Link where there's a Zelda every generation, or is it always Queen or Princess? I mean, not Queen, but
they have explained that.
They have
in a Zelda game
in Skyward or
in Skyward Sword.
Okay,
yeah. That's what everyone. I hate the controls of Skyward Sword, but everyone needs to play Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
that story is perfect.
Okay, yeah. Well, I need to check that out, because I just talking about that and how we're gonna get into like what timeline is this set in. It seems like Zelda remains consistent, where she's always already present there and just like kind of
always the ruler and stuff and all that.
So yeah, I'll have to check that out, because Skyward's the one that I still have yet to play, because it was like still $60 when I finally got my Wii, and I was like I couldn't afford it at that time, and I didn't want to go the whole. I want to get it legally and everything, and hopefully one day the Anuma said that they may remaster it.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
So I want to get it. That'd be awesome. But
or at least bring it to the Wii U shop.
Yeah, because I feel it's one of those games that they perfectly were able to captivate the Wii's abilities and make it fit artistically. And so but yeah, the trailer I loved it.
Yeah, and very good start to the show. We'll talk about later, like our overall thoughts on E3 and how Nintendo Treehouse was handled. Very unfortunate that they kind of dropped the ball right after the trailer. I think it kind of diminished the Zelda experience for both of us overall, like the way they handled the presentation of Zelda. But that isn't. But the people that were there were like that didn't have that kind of soiled or taintiness from.
Did you see the Stampede? Did you see the Stampede to Zelda when the booth opened?
Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely nuts.
Well, I saw people like posting Snapchat. I think iJustine posted a Snapchat of the line and how it was going like around like everything. Yeah. I'm surprised they kept it a secret, because when you go inside there, you see Breath of the Wild all over the place. You see certain things. You see the cooking station. Like there's so much mechanics of the game in the Zelda booth. And the fact that they didn't have someone post a picture of the Zelda Breath of the Wild like painting or something.
Yeah.
And the fact that didn't leak or like nothing about the game. I mean, I guess we knew about the 100 mini dungeons, which we'll talk about, and we knew about like the fantasy versus tech stuff, which seems
rock
to be
climbing.
prevalent.
Amazon posted that image.
Yeah. Although even that we didn't know the full extent of what that's going to be, and you really can climb everything, which once again we'll talk about soon. But yeah, so our initial reactions, complete hype to that trailer, and didn't even see in the game. You and I were watching it together. Sorry we didn't live stream it. that was just we wouldn't have. I think that would have been a disservice to Koppai fans and stuff if we would have live streamed it. I think E3 was best enjoyed by media outlets like IGN, the Nintendo Treehouse, people that had the tools and the resources to make it better. One day, though, Koppai will get there.
One day.
Hopefully next year we'll be at E3 is our goal.
With Bill.
With Bill Trin, we'll go say hi to him. I tweeted at him like all week, and he just will not reply to me. Bill! I know you listen to this.
He's busy. He's a busy man. Yeah, it's been E3 for him.
He rocked E3, though.
We'll also be with Kit and Krista, I believe, on a Nintendo Minute. We'll be guests.
Oh, yeah.
On some game that's
Nintendo Minute is never a minute. Anything else in our initial reactions to the trailer? I showed my fiance, my wife, in a week.
Yeah.
Her comment was, I like the Rock Man, because there was a guy that... The guy that comes out of the ground.
Kayla just said it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what they were trying to make you feel a lot in the trailer, was that it's huge and beautiful, and that there's it's dynamic.
And probably the Wii U version too, I think, is what they showed.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think there will be an NX reveal trailer for it where they show, because I guess I don't know if I should mention it. We'll get into it later.
It'll probably even say this is an NX this feature or something, or something like that. Yeah, we'll talk about what's going to happen with the future of the game and all of that. But first and foremost, moving on to a separate snippet, let's talk about just the open world. We've kind of talked about it in our reactions to the trailer and all that, but the beauty of Zelda's new open world. A few things to note before we just go wild with our discussion, our thoughts on it. One, the game will have villages to explore. That was some controversy throughout the week.
Yeah.
That there may not be any villages, and people said there's no towns, and INEM was there's no towns, but there are villages. So yes, there's going to be places for you to go. There's going to be NPCs, non-playable characters, that roam the area, but they were turned off for the sake of the demo. So there won't be any spoilers, and also they're going to be somewhat sparse because, as you can kind of tell, this is very much so Hyrule in its primitive state. And then Miyamoto said the game channels the spirit of the very first game, which that didn't have a lot of NPCs either. And then Breath of the Wild was originally delayed due to difficulties with the physics engine, which, as you see with things like the fire rod and the trees falling down and all sorts of stuff, the game has a very alive physics engine. The world is very much so alive and engaging. And so there's that. So
I feel like maybe I should probably also mention that Aonuma did comment about how some people have said some areas feel empty, maybe a little bit, and that was intentional. He said that there's
little
some areas
of emptiness.
Pockets of emptiness. Yeah, that's right. I don't think I added it in the notes there, but I thought we should mention that some of the feeling that they're trying to convey is that feeling of loneliness, and then kind of you're just wandering through this open, some empty, where you're going to be alone and feel that feeling of there's nobody around right now. And
yeah, I think I kind
of liked that. I liked a bit of that feeling of like we see in Skyrim and Fallout and some of these games that are trying to make it super, super dense and trying to put as much as they can between things. I feel like sometimes it's nice. I liked it. It gives me a bit of a almost Oblivion feel. Going back to the Oblivion in it was Cyrodiil. It was just very open for. It was very much a similar to this world that we're getting.
Or even Elder Scrolls Online when you explore Cyrodiil, there's just moments there where you're just wandering and wandering.
Yeah, and there's nothing really.
And then an enemy does pop up, or in Cyrodiil on Elder Scrolls Online, it's a real person. It's whoa, here we go.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the same here, where you're wandering through the open world, and all of a sudden there's a rock boss. Yeah. Just all of a sudden, and it's just it just kind of interrupts and halts your exploration, but in a perfect way where there's that payoff now, where it's now.
Well, also it's kind of annoying too when because I like that about Oblivion maybe versus Skyrim, how in Oblivion you would wander around for quite a bit until you'd run into an enemy, but in Skyrim it was wolves every turn, and then it was a dragon coming, and then it was man, just going out anywhere, it was just complete danger. And even in Fallout 4 it's that way to some degree. I kind of like that sense of, you can make it safely to your next location, or there's that potential to complete disaster to happen, or you could take this route. There's a lot of chance. And
I think also a lot of the complaints of the game being empty were from people watching the game.
Right.
I think the pacing when you're actually playing it doesn't feel nearly as slow paced or empty.
And also like I said, you can choose so much in this game that I think that those like you said, it's pockets of emptiness. I think that you could be like, well, I want to go to where the action is, and you can always constantly go to where the action is if you.
I'm gonna spend a day in this game now just hunting boars.
Yeah,
getting stakes gathered.
Yeah, that's what I do in a lot of these open world games. Like even Fallout 4, I've been going back into recently, and a lot of it's just like, I just go back to my home in Diamond City, and I go out hunting. Come back, cook the meat, maybe sell a few of it.
That's the thing again, though. Is sometimes when I want to go out hunting and like Fallout, or go out and like, gather just resources, get a bunch of adhesive and all that.
Yeah.
You get attacked by raiders, and it in a sense like that, it like reinforces that the game like this is a dangerous world. But with Breath of the Wild, where it's supposed to be, you're just out in the wilderness by yourself. It's gonna be really nice. There's not gonna be constant threats and stuff. That it's gonna be kind of more. Not like of a baby's first, open world and stuff, but more of like an easy going open world. But when you want the challenge, you're gonna be able to go out and seek it out, because the challenging areas are challenging. There's dangerous things here, like people are dying. Like I was watching Game Explain play it, and I think Tom from Game Explain was playing it, and he was just walking through like this ice tundra.
Yeah.
And Nate from Nintendo Treehouse was watching. He's like, does he not realize he's dying right now? And Link's like,
yeah,
and just dying. His heart's going down, and he died like within seconds because it was just so cold. And the game like, just a natural exploration encouraged that. But then it's dangerous, and so I think the game. I mean, there's going to be areas where you're going to need to really prepare yourself. There's going to be areas where you just relax and hunt.
It kind of makes me think back to the first game again, where there was the different screens that you went through, and some screens were just like a pocket of emptiness, really, where you'd go in there and all it is trees, and there's no enemies at all. You're completely safe. You can just wander around, explore the area for a bit, find all the little hidden secrets, and then you go up a screen, and there's like 10 enemies, and maybe a dungeon entrance, and things like that. So I would assume that, and even going to maybe in some of, it makes me think of like the Game Boy Color 2D Zeldas and stuff. This game seems to be like a 3D almost of the 2D, sort of taken to that huge scale, where you go into the tundra area and there's a whole new element of gameplay and dangers to experience there, and then maybe you'll be able to come back later. I think it's a lot of elements like that are going to make this game, and I'm really excited to play it, because it's going to be absolutely insane, because it's all those Zelda things mixed in with some of these Western elements, like I think predicted a bit that it was going to be.
Very much. The nice thing is,
I think they took it to an extreme further than we were predicting.
Yeah, I was expecting Far Cry Zelda, or Zelda Far Cry, and it seemed that they took the best elements of all those games, melded them together, and then added in their Nintendo charm and accessibility that made it like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we needed, and it's an open world game that I'm looking forward to, along a game like Horizon, and I'm looking forward to this one for a whole different way, where Horizon's awesome in this open world, because that's a game that's being compared to a lot now. Like, even like Kind of Funny, we look at them a lot for video game discussion, and they gave their game of the show to Horizon. But like Tim Geddes, who's kind of their resident Nintendo fan, he was very much so considering Zelda, but then was like, no, I'm gonna give it to Horizon. And a lot of people on the show floor were like looking at both of them, because they're both kind of these open world games that deal with like these robot monsters, because you have the Guardians in Zelda, and then the mechs in Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because we've talked about it in the past, like with Star Fox, for example, like Star Fox is awesome, but it doesn't compare to a game like Battlefront. Like, in every way, the options, the modes, and all that in Battlefront's insane, and it's just like, you play it for the nostalgia of Nintendo, and Star Fox is fun and all, but it's like, come on, these are the big hitters over here. And Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, seems to stand on par with these modern open worlds. Like, it's in, especially the NX version with its visual upgrades. At that, because that's probably the one like con against it right now, as people say it's a little dull and stuff in the visual department, little polygonal and all that and stuff, which won't go away with the NX, but I mean, it'll have its own charm, kind of like the Last Guardian's kind of going for too, like that. The art style will prevail, and I think this game, like with its open world, surprisingly is going to be able to stand on its own 2 feet and really be like, this is an open world game alongside Fallout, alongside Elder Scrolls, alongside Horizon, and alongside even The Witcher, as far as content, stuff to do, and maybe not necessarily narrative, but I mean, it's gonna do what it does best. Because I think like with The Witcher, for example, that is so narrative heavy, and we've talked about that in the past, and Fallout is so decision heavy, and Elder Scrolls is so fantasy heavy, and Zelda will have its puzzle twist, which kind of leads us into the next snippet with discussing puzzles and so on. Let's talk about how Zelda NX or Zelda Wii U, Zelda Breath of the Wild, improves gameplay in dungeons. First bullet point. It can be completed without beating the main story. Wolf Link amiibo functionality was shown. I believe we may have... Or I wanted to talk about that somewhere in there. Oh, yeah. And the Wolf Link is basically, in my mind...
Dog meat from Fallout 4. Really cool. We'll talk about that when we get just and everything. The game will have voiceover work, as we talked about. Link will stay silent. And the improvements on the NX will only be visual. There's not going to be a bunch of gameplay tweaks and stuff. And so let's talk about... We saw in the demo a few examples of these mini dungeons. They call them shrines. Mini dungeons in quotes. That's what we had leaked earlier, a couple weeks ago. But now it's been confirmed. That leak was true. There's 100 roughly, and then there's they seem kind of there's 4 main dungeons, 100 of these little mini ones, and then 4.
That's insane. That's because they're pretty fair length.
Yeah, they seem from what I was kind of recalling, they seemed a bit like a single room experience of a main dungeon, kind of where you have
even a little bigger than that.
Yeah, or a main kind of puzzle area of a dungeon, because sometimes they do go through multiple rooms where you have to go grab something and then bring it back to the main area. I felt it was kind of like that, where it was one main sort of objective that you were supposed to complete in these things that were fully fledged, like a room or a puzzle before you move on to the next part of a dungeon in a main, a normal previous Zelda installment game. But it's also reminds me of the whole Skyrim, having a whole bunch of little dungeons around. I like the idea a lot. My only kind of concern with it is that for main dungeons is what do we usually get? We usually get 3 kind of dungeons, and then you kind of move on to the 4 main dungeons of the game.
Yeah, it depends.
Is that usually
on
how
the
it
game.
is? Right. But it's usually the formula is you got a few dungeons in the beginning before you get, or maybe you go to 4 dungeons in the beginning of each temple and kind of do the early version.
I think Ocarina of Time had 7 overall or something, 7 or 8 overall.
Yeah.
And then Wind Waker had a ton because there's so much different islands and stuff. But let's say that all it has is the 4, the water temple and the forest temple, and water, fire, usually water, fire, grass, and there's usually some sort of maybe shadow, maybe lens of truth crap like that, or
desert temple or something.
Yeah, it's usually fire, kind of a fire temple of some sort.
I
think Skyward Sword had 3 provinces.
But even if you think of it that way, if you think of let's say this game only has the later game dungeons in it, and all of the beginning dungeons have been divided now into 100 dungeons, 100 mini dungeons. And it's holy crap, that's just absolutely insane, because you think one of those intro dungeons, if you would divide it, I would say it probably equals maybe 4 or 5 at the most dungeons that you could divide it up into and spread it around. So that's 20 dungeons there, maybe, of these, and then you got 100 in this game. So it's just completely ramping it up.
It's gonna be, because the nice thing is also did you play Link? Yeah, you beat Link Between Worlds, right?
Yeah.
That game, you could do any dungeon you wanted in any order depending on what items you grabbed first.
Right.
And this is definitely going to that approach where you can do anything you want at any point. Even more so, I guess, relevant to the original Legend of Zelda, where you could do anything you want at any point and stuff. And so we're bringing that back, and that was such a perfect game because, it was just, there was going to be some that are harder than others and some things that you're going to need other items from, and there's just going to be this sense of exploration where I'll start off the game and I'm going to run that way, I'm going to do that shrine right away, and you may just hang back and do that shrine, and there's going to be these puzzles and things, and I bet there's going to be some hidden shrines that you wouldn't even know about unless you blew up this rock, which wasn't very clearly blow-upable and stuff, and there's going to be things like that, and there's going to be places where you have to climb up, but it has to be, you can't probably reach it unless it's not raining, because when it rains, I heard that the cliffs get slippery, so you can't climb them up.
Interesting.
Which is like, or it takes more stamina to climb in the rain because the rain's hitting your face, and it's just like,
the subtle detail in the game is just mind blowing.
They showed a GIF the other day of someone kicking a treasure chest, but they didn't have their boots on, so Link stubbed his toe and like fell over and was just in pain. It's just like, oh man, like that's just beautiful. And so
that's what I love about Nintendo too, though, is that one thing I think that we should mention that they always do that sets them aside a bit, I'd say, from the Fallouts and the Horizons and the grittier, the games that are coming out from other places, is Nintendo has always had this amazing sense of humor with their games and the subtle details where they're able to make
Luigi
fun of
Jet
themselves.
Stare and stuff, you know?
Yeah, where they are able to poke fun at themselves, at their own characters, at kind of fourth wall breaking a bit, even though that's not, like, stubbing his toe isn't really, but I'd say, like, they do those kind of things all the time where it's just silly and comical, or they go the more cartoony route and homages to, like, just animations that are silly.
Especially recently, like, now they have, like, the GPU and all that probably to a lot for stuff like that, like with Mario Kart, like, that they can have... They can have an engine in there and some coding in there that makes it so the characters look at each other when they drive by, which is subtle, but it makes for really funny encounters like the Luigi Death Stare. And I think you also then, it's perfect, like a game like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and the discovery of those little details and the gameplay elements, and like the video you sent me where someone, if you light something on fire, it causes smoke to rise, which causes an updraft.
Yeah.
And if you use your sail, you can fly up on that updraft, making basically like a whole new puzzle mechanic where it's like you get to light grass on fire and do this and stuff. And then when you're elevated above an enemy, you do slow motion when you attack them. And so they combined all three of that to do... They used their fire rod to burn the grass, the updraft went, they jumped on the updraft, used their parasail to go up into the air, then used slow motion to pull out their bow and arrow, and then headshot someone, like all in one sequence.
Right.
And these little things, taking an open world, taking these dynamic dungeons, taking these little subtle details, is perfect for like the modern internet era of sharing stuff. Like, I'm gonna share that little moment, and that's what's... I think it's why Breath of the Wild's being talked about so much, is because there's so much to share from it.
Yeah.
And Nintendo is just kind of encouraging that and letting it go wild with people just talking about it. And that's maybe kind of why they avoided maybe a traditional show, is because they're just like, let the social media handle Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And we'll just play it. We'll show off what you can do, but if you want to just focus on it, you go do that and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to be here to do that. And so
I feel like to some degree that they've always wanted to have that feeling in the previous Zelda games. They've always had it kind of be just hack and slash. And even in some of the previous, like, I played a lot of Twilight Princess where you do these combo sort of things and then it says, like, to finish, or you do these special things where it's just a button, like, press, and you do some little combo finishing.
They have that in this one too, like the rush and stuff.
Yeah, but the way that they do it in this one, I feel, is where they actually give you that sense of, like, putting a combo and stringing it together a little bit more than simply just mashing A few times at an enemy and then maybe pressing flicking your stick up or something like that. So I feel like this game actually allows you to invent your own sort of combos like that to some degree, where it's so much more free.
Or even someone, I think they were on their surfboard with, like, on the snow, like if you have a shield, you can hop on the snow with your shield and use it as a surfboard, which when you finally get the Hylian shield, that's going to look so glorious. Because there's no doubt in my mind you're eventually going to get the green tunic.
Yeah.
You're going to get the Master Sword, and you're going to get the Hylian shield eventually. Like, if you find it and know where to look.
And then you'll be able to just surf indefinitely.
Yeah, and you'll just... but imagine surfing on the Hylian shield. It's going to be so epic. Like, the payoff when that happens, when you have the green tunic, I don't know what they're going to do to make the green tunic special. Like, it's going to have, like, some sort of, like, resistance or magic.
The thing is,
something.
I don't know about that. I'm actually wondering, because when we see some of these, like, later things, when he's wearing like
armor.
Heavy armor, potentially it's under that armor. You know, you could always have that possibility. But I almost wonder if, because, like, every shot we've seen, even when he looks a little more like mid game and he's got like a hood and he looks a little more roughed
We never saw him with
the
Master Sword though. We saw the Master Sword.
Yeah, we did see it. So. And just like Legend always has it, that he's wearing, he looks like this and has this attire.
And that's the thing, is if this game we'll talk about with the timeline, if it takes place early before Ocarina of Time, or even before any of the Zelda games, all of them, like especially Wind Waker, talks about how the hero always has the green tunic.
Yeah.
And that's why he gets the green tunic in Wind Waker. Like, it's not even like necessarily like he wore green. They give him the green tunic in Wind Waker to be like the hero. They're like, here you go, look like the hero of time.
Yeah.
And so, which may just be the Ocarina of Time guy, but I mean, it just, I don't know. He
but
has to wear green
I
eventually.
wonder, though, because it makes me think, like, I always think, or I think it's a huge possibility that you do get the tunic. Like, that would be very likely, probably most likely going to happen, but I do have that slight, because this is so convention breaking, I do have that slight doubt of maybe it's possible they're not going to have that this game. We do then see the Master Sword, which makes me think that it's got to be coming back. If that's coming back, then we have some of those elements. Then I think about Fallout 4 and how you have the you have those mech suits, or what are they called, the power armor suits, and that you can have your, I still am wearing like my Vault Tech outfit, and it's just under my power armor.
Also, though, another thing to know is we saw the shots of him in the armor. I wonder if that makes it so he slows down, or if that makes him so he gets fatigued faster, like his stamina may go down faster. And we've also seen, especially like in Hyrule Warriors, his green tunic in Hyrule Warriors is really beefed up.
Yeah.
Like, that has chainmail underneath. And I just wonder if maybe the green tunic in this game is going to have, like, very sturdy armor, because it is chainmail.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be lightweight. Like, it's going to be like that. It's going to be an armor that you want to wear, because it's going to be light, which won't, like, wear you down, and it won't, like, be super heavy. It won't make you, like, sink in water.
Yeah.
But it'll also be sturdy, which you'll get, like, protected from hits and stuff. So I could see something like that.
I could see it being...
I think that all this stuff needs to be, like, when you finally have the green tunic, the Master Sword, and the Hylian Shield, you're going to feel like it's going to be like when you have the dragon armor in Skyrim, like when you finally, like, have, like, the Daedric armor and stuff, like, it's just perfection, overpowered, all of that.
I could see it where, even though you get, like, a maybe heavy armor suit halfway through the game before you get to the full final bit, that even in the other Zelda games, you'll often fight an enemy that has really strong armor on, but Link's able to somehow hold his own against it. I could see that even being like a really powerful armor, but even Link's tunic being embedded with some magical power and all these extra attributes that it's like, it's better than that flimsy armor or whatever you were just wearing, and with the Master Sword and everything, you'll be able to rip right through it, no problem, and so you don't even need it,
because there's no way the Master Sword is going to be
slowing time. You know how to freaking parasail over people, and then pull out your wingsuit and go paragliding into the hot air balloon, onto the jet airplane.
Did you see that floating island in the background?
Yeah, it was
like a spaceship or something.
Yeah,
really weird.
Some
people think it's Skyloft from Skyward Sword. Like the floating city from Skyward Sword. The one that you play in Smash Bros.
Yeah. That could be.
Yeah. Maybe it's the Smash Bros stage in the background.
And you go up there.
It's Battlefield. Just Battlefield from Smash Bros. You know, look out there and Mario's just beating up Princess Peach. Punching her in the face. It's like, oh no.
I think it'd be so creepy to be on a floating island in the sky. Like, if you were on there, like, standing up and, like, looked over the edge, it'd be like, oh.
Yeah, like, what is keeping this up, and what could, like, is it going to just stop one day? Like,
why get down? How do we get down?
Yeah.
You guys.
Another reason to play Skyward Sword. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is I don't think there's any way the Master Sword will break. Like, you should be able to swing that as much as you want and it won't break. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Same, like the surfing and everything, because they said that the shields will break if you keep surfing on them. The shields.
Really?
Yeah, it wears down on them.
Just grinding at them.
So hopefully once you get the Hylian shields, that will not be a problem. Or Hylian, yeah.
Where is all of this surfing, swimming, fire swinging Zelda stuff happening in the timeline? We have a theory that this game takes place after Skyward Sword and is linked to Majora. We saw that Ganon is still involved.
Yeah.
that has been confirmed, and the game takes place 100 years after Link falls asleep in the Resurrection Chamber.
Yeah.
I still think that it's a Skyward Sword sequel. I may be pulling back on my Majora stuff. There's like no hints of Majora anywhere in here. Any sort of like magic of him, any sort of victims.
I kind of feel it's that post-apocalyptic Zelda almost, where
do you think it takes place like way after like Wind Waker,
I do.
Twilight Princess, all of that? Like,
I kind of think that it's a shooting way in the future after everything's kind of been destroyed and it's like basically ruins everywhere, but it's become kind of wild and overgrown, and there's still some of that ancient technology hidden around and some of those elements of the past, but you will uncover those as you go along.
Temple of Time was like destroyed. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like,
So I feel like there was some sort of huge devastation. Link was put into a sleep, or he died and was resurrected, and now it's like you'll find some of those crazy like tech things with your Sheikah Stone and stuff that makes it like freaking Matrixy everywhere, and it's like, I don't know what, that just seems like some advanced tech. So like it feels like it's some sort of future mixed with past, sort of like perfect Zelda thing, a future linked with the past.
Yeah, I don't know. There's hints of technology in Skyward Sword that seem to be carried over. That very blue aesthetic, that kind of technology stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it may be Skyward Sword still. But yeah, it just
the thing is that what's interesting about, I mean, you could never really fully put, I think, a finger on it, because I would say that most likely it's all a cycle, the whole Zelda thing. I mean, even since it's always repeating, like every game, like essentially there's like a huge similarity thing going on where it seems to be repeating in some sort of circular effect, where even in Skyward Sword, I haven't played it, but I would assume maybe there's even some more previous history where things could have been cycled through.
Yeah, they hint at like, because like the start of the game is like, let's give thanks to the gods, you know, and like, or the goddesses, like the goddess Hylia or Helia or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like there's still even then kind of like before there was even Skyloft, like what got Skyloft in the sky, there were the gods and stuff, like, and like the whole making of the Triforce and stuff. So I mean there's even though Skyward Sword is like the genesis of, I think it's more so the genesis of the Link and Zelda story. It's not necessarily the genesis of Hyrule, but I mean, I don't know. I think because people were saying basically that it's confirmed Wind Waker sequel or something like after all of that.
Yeah.
The thing is that I believe Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass is about sailing away from Wind Waker, and then Spirit Tracks is all about laying down the tracks of a new Hyrule, and so. But if you have the new Hyrule, then you wouldn't have the Temple of Time, and you wouldn't have the Koroks and stuff from the Great Deku Tree in the new Hyrule, unless this is back to the old Hyrule, which then all the water's gone back down.
Yeah.
But then I mean, I don't know. That would just, I mean, yeah, that you could, like what you said, it could be just so far down the line that every timeline's obsolete. Because I could see that, like the timeline splitting off into 3, and then going this way, but then no matter what, it ends up back at Breath of the Wild. Like all timelines reconverge at the Breath of the Wild. And it's just
I think that'd be convenient for them too, and like one of the things they would want to do to kind of separate themselves. And I don't know, I think that looking into overarching Zelda thing, like there's definitely sequels and stuff, but I think that it might be a little, and they've made an official timeline, I know, and all that, but I think it's a little reaching a bit and looking a little too far into like what they're doing. Is it's almost like trying, I feel it's way more narratively driven, and it has the recurring characters and stuff, but it's a bit like trying to make a timeline to the Mario games, and where did this Mario game take place to this. It's like certainly they have some of that in mind, but I think for the most part they go in with like, we're going to create an amazing Zelda experience that has, you know, and like I'm sure there's some tie-ins to some of the old, you know, but I think for the most part it's like they try to disconnect it a bit, or how can we make it so that this is, I think for the most part, most often they don't try to think of this as a sequel to this game, or this is a next after this one, this is just a Zelda game, and then later they think like, maybe where can this fit. And I think for the most part, most often they try to just go with, this is separate from, you know, this is pretty far into this like timeline away from that, or this is like way before that, or you know. So
Mm-hmm. I think my theory in the midst of
usually
all-
they only do like a direct sequel very soon after a Zelda. I feel.
Mhm.
Like where they do an actual like spiritual successor or like a real
Mhm.
thing like that. A Link Between Worlds was like huge exception to that. I feel.
Mhm. But even then, it was very clear this is going to be a sequel. You know,
Yeah.
I still think that it's a Skyward Sword sequel. I'm
Yeah.
sticking by that. I think we'll see like confirmation of that in the
Mhm.
game, that like this is like through either art style or through like story or like a reference. I think there's gonna be like a direct reference to the Skyloft or like the story of Skyward Sword, of the main villain of that game and stuff, like who you saw in Skyward Sword, and I think it'll lead into Ocarina of Time. I think that'll be the things that freak people out. Is like the game will end and it'll be like whatever Ganon says his parting breath will be very much so like, all right, like here's Ocarina of Time, like we're leading into it, and because that'll be such like a perfect tie-in stuff where it's like taking Skyward Sword, bridging it to the timeline. We know that would be so just fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing is, we see those Koroks, which are definitely Wind Waker. Although I think that's just more so art style than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that makes me think that's not a Skyward Sword sequel, like that, like brings me any doubt to my mind, is just that the Master Sword is rusty. It is beat up. There's flowers growing on it. You know, like it is. It's been put away for a long time, and that's crazy imagery. Like that's just that's some payoff that can't happen in a Zelda game unless there's been 30 years of history with the game. You know, like only Nintendo fans that have been Nintendo fans for this many years like can see that imagery of the Master Sword all grassy and worn down and just be like, dang, this is just some stuff that like Nintendo is just. People always complain about Nintendo doing the same IPs again and again and again and stuff, and this is like payoff moments where it's just like, yes, like I remember Brian Altano tweeting about it, like this
What's so amazing about it too is that they seem like, I think we had a discussion in Koppai a long time ago where we talked about, are they just like, because some of these franchises like Fallout coming out and Horizon, these new games, new developers, younger people, they actually did say that this game was developed by a younger team or a lot of younger people on it, where it's like, will they feel as inspired with this game? Are they just making a Zelda because it's like Nintendo has to make another Zelda? And it feels like for this game, it's like, and we'll get into it later with like Color Splash and some of the decisions they've made with like some of their games recently, with like Tennis and Amiibo Festival and some of the things that they come out. Even Star Fox arguably is so just like that when you get to the end, like the credits, everything feels kind of plasticky almost to a degree, and I feel like not with this game. This game feels very fluid and like organic, and like they're passionate about it, and that a lot of love and care has gone into it, which is a side of Nintendo that we don't see a lot of like very recently. We saw it just a couple years ago, and then with the whole unfortunate like Iwata going, it seems like they've been, what do? We got to make sure all our games stay on track, but it's maybe been to some detriment. And I feel like this game really came out with a confidence. And,
I think they even said like flat out, like we're not gonna let anything hold this game back, and if that means delaying it, we'll delay it. We'll tear the game down and redo it before we release like a bad Zelda. And that's why we delayed it. That's why we did this. That's why we are porting it to the NX, because we always want this to be the best it can be, and that can only happen there. And so, the box art was revealed. I don't believe that's the real box art. I think it's a placeholder box art. Maybe Nintendo released it as a PR image. I don't think that's it.
It's a missed opportunity if it really is, because
the rock climbing should have been the title, or the opening scene of him standing over the cliff should have been the box art or something like that. That better not be the box art. And I'm saying it now. It's not.
Yeah.
It can't be. Everyone tweeting. I didn't retweet any of those tweets for Koppai, or like I didn't dig into the sources. I'm like, nope, not even gonna bother that, because that's not the box art. Like Nintendo, everything tweeting out like, this is the new box art. I'm like, no, it's not. No way. We're gonna get that like in a Nintendo Direct in November, or like January, something like. Okay,
it's a still pretty early for it, I'd say.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
that's a placeholder for Amazon or whatever. Like, here's The Legend of Zelda.
so it's not that crappy. They've had forever. It's just a black box where it has
like Navis flying around or something.
Yeah.
Like sparkles or whatever. Some other real quick things before we move on from Zelda. The Zelda items are now in Miitomo. You can go get like really cool outfits. Some are free, some are Miitomo drop, and then there's a Hylian shield that you can buy for 2,900 gold. I really want to buy that, but I keep using all my coins instead for Miitomo drop. I've gotten several of the Zelda outfits, almost all of the shirts, but they're also all available in different colors, and so I'm trying to get all the colors right now. Really, really cool. Just Google or YouTube Miitomo drop guides. You can figure out how to get those. It's super easy with this Zelda one because it's very zigzag and very formal. There's not a lot of stuff bouncing around and moving that you need to be paying attention to. You can just really kind of pay attention. A lot of the guides online are like, say, drop it when the platform's in the middle of the third zigzag, and it's just very straightforward. And also, the VP of sales for Nintendo says that Zelda will be an immediate reason fans will buy the Nintendo NX. We can't wait. We're definitely going to be picking it up as well. Let us know down in the comments if you're going to be picking up an NX or if you're going to get it on Wii U or both. Moving on. Pokemon Sun and Moon has some new features and UI changes, and they rock. Pokemon Sun and Moon announced Yungoos, Pikipek, and Grubbin as 3 new Pokemon. Yungoos is a honey badger, and he just don't care. Or he's like a mongoose or something. Pikipek is that Pokemon we saw in the initial trailer. It's a little bird.
Yeah.
And then Grubbin's kind of like the new Caterpie.
Yeah.
There's also a new battle mode where you can do 4 players fighting against each other at the same time. But like they can attack whoever they want. It's weird. It's not like 2-on-2 battles. It's 1-on-1-on-1-on-1.
Yeah, it's really interesting and very cool looking.
Yeah, very. You all come out like it's kind of like a WWE sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's also new like UI changes where now you can look at the info of a move right away from the touchpad. You can QR code Pokemon. I think we talked about that in the past. But also, moves now say if they're effective, super effective, or not effective, or...
I feel like this is going to be the black and white of... maybe just... probably the 2. Where... Because I remember with black and white 2, where we were playing those, just like... The new features that they added and all the little subtle things that they made to streamline the experience, make it easier and more accessible, were like, why hasn't this been in a Pokemon game since the beginning? And there was so much that was making it pleasing. They knew that diehard fans were going to be the ones that were picking up this game, like mostly and stuff. I feel like they knew that that what fans had come to expect, what they had played over and over again for years, and what like adding a little more difficulty and challenge, but just like making things where if you're using a repel and you run out and it says, do you want to use another repel? And it was like, thank God they finally like, why had this not been a feature in the past where you had to every time go into your menu, and now it's like you can check the moves. It says super effective if the move is effective, so you don't have to be constantly checking
look at your
types
Pokedex app and stuff and memorizing all this. But I think I don't think it'll like. I think because my initial complaint was like, well, what's the point of even studying all that now? I want to be like the Pokemon Master. I want to know what effects are. But I think it'll instinctively tell you, like, you'll just start to know, oh, yeah, this is super effective because it'll just get muscle memory where it's like, I know my water moves are always super effective when I'm fighting a rock Pokemon. And there's also sometimes we just don't know if this Pokemon's rock or not, and it just makes sense for your little Rotom Dex to tell you, like, this is...
Well, it also makes it a lot easier when they add new types and new matchups and stuff, where it's like you never know. It's constantly evolving, and if they add a new Pokemon to the roster and stuff, it suddenly switches a lot of things up. So I think definitely it'll come to be muscle memory and something where you'll learn from it. It'll be teaching you while at the same time making it easier to play the game. And seeing the little descriptions of the moves so easily. Just by clicking it really quickly is amazing, and so
and
everything.
The new
trainers that are joining you in battle now, the trainers will be.
Yeah, you can see your trainer. That's so cool, and it brings back the customization. You can pick your own shirts, hats. I mean, this is once again the definitive Pokemon. I didn't feel like that with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I feel like they took a step back in some ways, but a step ahead in others. I'm like, But this seems to be the only thing I think it's missing so far. I want to see is just the hidden camps. I want those to be back from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it brings back customization. It looks like the story's really fun. Your rival Hua or whatever doesn't have. He has like a Pikachu. He has a Pichu, which was weird.
What was also interesting is that we see a lot of Gen 2, like Lediba, and Pichu were the ones that we saw.
And there's that theory we talked about, I think, or we may have like just heard that there's lots and lots of parallels between Sun and Moon and Gold and Silver and life and death and these cycles and stuff.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's going to be like a crazy awesome game. And they surprised us at E3 because they were like, let's get into Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then for like a half hour, they showed everything we knew already.
Yeah.
But then they're like, let's go into a battle real quick. And they went into a battle. And that's... Then they didn't even acknowledge it because we just saw these things. And Zach and I are like pausing the E3 stream. Like, what is that? Like, you can see super effective there. And like... There's this new thing like where you do like when you lock on with trainer eyes, like the screen gets a little darker when you're getting like right into their gaze, and like it shows you where they can see. And then when it does lock, they have like this kind of persona looking thing where it's just, I mean, so much polish, and they weren't even acknowledging it. They're just like, whatever. Oh, by the way, did you see that little eye there? You can click. And it's just like they handled that so badly, but we were so happy to see that because that was perfect for E3 to see that kind of hype, and I wish they just would have showcased that in a nice, neat, clean trailer. But speaking of Pokemon and other stuff they showed at E3, they also showed off Pokemon Go, and they might as well have grabbed the camera from the Treehouse live stage, took a massive dump on it, smeared it around, and been like, hey, by the way, it's going to cost you $35. Because Pokemon Go looks like utter trash.
It does.
And they tried for 40 minutes, I think is what it was, to convince us that this is going to be fun. And every single sentence was just affirmation, this is terrible. And the funny thing is they like Pro Jared on and some other guy no one has ever heard of before. And we're one to talk. No one's heard of Koppai either. But I mean, you have these guys on and they're trying to act enthusiastic and pumped about it. But really, like Pro Jared just like, so I noticed there's like no Pokemon here. Like, is that like a design choice? And they're like, yep. And it's like, oh, okay. I was hoping for a better answer than that.
It was just, I mean, the guy that was like in charge of the whole project was, for the most part, basically just saying like, don't even play this game. Just go outside and walk and like look around at the environment. Like, don't even play. Please, like the game is. If you could, don't even play it. If you could, just go outside and take a walk. But if you have to, get our game. And if you need some like something there with you while you go out on your walk, it was like, please don't play this game very much while you're going out and walking. Please, we want it to be like as passive as possible. To the point where this Pokemon Go Plus thing that they have,
wristband,
you don't even really have to do anything.
It just blinks and
you
you
don't
touch
see
it
what
and you catch a Pokemon
you run into, and you're like constantly catching the same Pokemon over and over again because you have to get like 32,000 Squirtle to evolve it into Wartortle, and it's like, why would you even do that?
And if you live in a certain area, like which is immersive and also a bummer, like if you live in like at a bay, like the San Francisco people, they caught a bunch of Horsies because it was just Horsey, but the Horsey was like in the middle of like the downtown area because the Google Maps was just like, you're near an ocean, so here's a Horsey, but it was just like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then they pulled it out on their phone and like they like showed up and there's like a, what was it, like I think what Pokemon, I forgot, it was like a Rattata or something, and it was like on the table, then on the floor. Like there was like no recognition of like 3D environments or scanning or anything.
Yeah.
And then
it does a quick little animation, and then you just toss Pokeballs at it. Pokeball didn't work. All right, go into my Ultra Balls. I'll throw an Ultra Ball at it.
And then it catches, and it's like, cool. Now what do you do with it? Well, now you have it.
Yeah. Now you have it.
Do I get to train it?
Catch another one, and if you catch a few million more,
it evolves.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of that Bulba Sanctuary episode, like where they went and there's all the Bulbasaurs united together. Bulbasaur. Like all gathered together, and Ash is like, oh, do you want to be with your brothers and sisters, Bulbasaur? And it's like rolling over on its bed, all depressed. Or no, that was that episode of Pikachu where he's like laying in his bed. And he's like looking at the Thunderstone. And he's like, he turns away and rolls over, like doesn't even look at it when he falls asleep. Yeah, the game. I mean, come on. Like we are sometimes arguably too positive about Nintendo. We defend games or actions by them that
Well,
most people on the internet would hate. Yeah. This is bad.
Well, and it was such, I feel, a false advertisement with their initial tech demo, or not even tech demo, whatever it was.
Trailer.
It was a trailer, and it was a...
and because in the trailer they said you can trade Pokemon. Like, yeah, that's gone.
Proof of concept trailer.
Yeah.
Concept trailer. It was, it was absolutely... And they were trying to appeal to the hardcore base of Pokemon fans that have been around since the beginning, which I just feel is a complete failure, because everybody from the beginning... It's not about gotta catch them all, like I feel. Mm-hmm. I feel it's about the experience of catching and training and battling with your friends, and it seems like this really tries to make it all passive as much as possible, which is not what Pokemon's about.
Like,
it's
when
super
you have
engaging.
This, like, if you have 30, because then they have the nerve, like, really, like, you have the nerve to, you're gonna gyp some kid.
Yeah.
You're going to rob some kid in the family of $35 for this Pokemon Go Plus thing. Mm-hmm. You're using the Pokemon brand to sell this wristband that does not do what the initial advertisement said.
What I think is it's such a missed opportunity, because, for one, if they would have made the capturing... like, more of, like, you send out a Pokemon, or even if you...
Just make it a Pokemon battle.
Even if you had to do a few extra things. Even if they had, like, throw some rocks to weaken its HP a bit. Like, do something to affect it instead of just throwing Pokeballs. I feel like it would make you more engaged with your environment, because I feel like, especially as a kid, if I could have gone out and gone to the end of the block and I find a Pokemon... and then I have to stand there and stay outside in the fresh air, getting the sunlight, looking across the field, and standing there for quite a while, 5 to 10 minutes or whatever it is, and, like, maybe I'm walking my dog so my dog can just sniff around while I have a battle, instead of just tossing a Pokeball and here we go, keep going on my way, completely passively.
Checklist.
Seems like you would get way more engaged with the outside and the environment if it was like, oh, there's a real Pokemon here in my environment.
And they must have some complaint. They maybe had, like, complaints, or maybe they got worried that people are gonna be, like, on their phones looking it up and blocking their path, and they, like, just put on as much as the wristband as you can. Maybe that was some part of it, but then to charge $35, like, that's where I was like, okay, I'm out. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I was kind of trying to justify it.
There's no way.
35. I mean, you could get the new Pokemon game for $5 more, and it's an infinitely better experience. Like, if you're listening to this...
I think that's what I said, is I'll just take my 3DS out, walk a little bit, and then, like, be in the grass in my Pokemon game. Like, be walking around in the grass while I walk.
I'll just get a plane ticket
to battle. Oh, look, there's a Pokemon.
Yeah, I'll just go to Hawaii and pull out Sun and Moon and be like, this is basically Pokemon Go, like what it should have been. But yeah, if you're listening to this, make sure you go out and leave a poor review on the Amazon page for this wristband. Everyone give it 1 star and be like, don't buy this.
Go dislike the trailer.
Yeah, so parents can know, like, don't buy this wristband for your kid. I wonder, like, it doesn't even look like it's good quality. It looks like it's, like, freaking yarn with a plastic Pokeball that looks like the GPS logo, and just makes me angry. Moving on to stuff that makes me actually somewhat happy.
Yeah.
They surprise announced a new Mario Party while at E3, like, tweeted about it. And I'm like, no way, they just announced a new game but didn't even acknowledge it on Treehouse. And I'm like, oh, but it's a Mario Party, and Mario Party sucks nowadays.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. And I didn't do anything else. Like, I didn't look at it at all, like, that whole rest of Tuesday when they announced it. But then on Wednesday at the Treehouse, props to Nintendo, like, the one relevant thing from the Treehouse this week, they showed some Toad Scramble mode.
Yeah.
This game looks really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be, like, the best Mario Party that we've had in years, because they've abandoned the car. They've made it so just, like, streamlined. Like, everyone rolls at the same time. Go, go, go. It looks super competitive. And because it's on the 3DS, everyone, like, has their own kind of, like, perspective on things. And it's just very, like, intuitive. And then they added in, like, awesome amiibo functionality. Like, where you scan in your amiibo and, like, it gives you, like, partners and stuff. And you can play as them if you have the amiibo, which makes it feel like you have a board game piece. Like, that's very well used. And then it looks... There's, like, the game is called Star Rush. you literally are rushing to see who can get the most stars. So you bring back that competitive nature of it that you haven't had really in some other ones. Or the other
And
ones
this is in all the modes it's like this, or just Toad Scramble? Because what I saw them demonstrate was Toad Scramble.
That's all I've seen. I think that's really all they've shown off.
Right. But Star Rush, it does make it seem like it's that competitive nature back where everybody...
Yeah.
But, you know...
And even if that's just Toad Scramble.
If all I'm playing is Toad Scramble, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I think that seems like the main driving mode of the game.
Yeah.
Which I was a little bit bummed out that you like weren't playing as like one of the main characters, which there may be a separate mode for that. But I do like the idea of you scanning your partner amiibo, and that brings you like your Donkey Kong, and that brings you in.
Yeah,
the new amiibo line is really awesome.
What I liked about
and Waluigi and
yeah, definitely. What I liked about the fact that you were just all Toads was that it reminded me a bit of when you're playing a board game or something and you're just like, I'm the blue piece or I'm the this piece. But then there's the elements of the Nintendo game incorporated, like there's Mario on the board and he actually does something.
Well, I think like if you're playing on, I would assume there's online play. There better be online play because you're not gonna play it. It's just kind of that cool thing of like I'm gonna scan this amiibo and it's like adding in that extra thing, you know, like and like all of a sudden it's like crap, he scanned in his Wario amiibo, like dang. I wonder if you would assume your Wario Smash amiibo works. But yeah, and the game looks gorgeous. The mini games look fun. The boss battles look engaging, and they only like it seemed like they only showed just a little bit of it. Like there was the trailer for it that showed off even more, and really really awesome. Before we move on, let's talk about that box art.
Oh yeah. Little Nintendo.
Did they not realize that we would immediately find that out? Yeah. Basically, if you're not caught up to speed, the box art for the game looks gorgeous, really fun. They're all hanging out. They're pulling out this. It looks like a Mario Party box art. It says Star Rush, typical font. And then it has like that kind of Nintendo, like kind of grayscale background stuff. Turns out though, someone was watching E3 while eating their Mario SpaghettiOs, and they're like, that logo for Star Rush looks exactly like the Mario logo on my SpaghettiOs, and it is the same minus the border. The border is gold in Star Rush. It's blue on the SpaghettiOs. Nintendo used their SpaghettiO promo art for their newest Mario Party game. And it just, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's bad. Like, it's not like they use, like, bad art or something.
Yeah.
It just seems, like, so lazy and cheap and kind of sneaky and shady. Like, they even do that. And it's just like, come on. Like, why don't you just, because the funny thing is like, it's Toad, it's the main front and center, and it's all about, like, going and playing at the same time. Like, there's no, I think there is dice maybe on the front. Like, they, like, added in, like, a dice or something that he's, like, kind of unrolling instead of a SpaghettiO. But it's just like, dang, that was just so pathetic when we saw that. I mean, I wonder if they have time to change it. I don't know if they have time to. When's the game come out?
Not too long. I thought it's like October or something. Here really soon.
Real quick, yeah, I'll look it up. But Mario Party Star Rush. Nintendo 3DS, more details, pricing, GameStop.
Have they not announced when it's coming out yet?
I don't know if they did. Yeah, IGN 2 days ago, Mario Party uses repurposed art from Nintendo SpaghettiOs. I wonder if they've commented on it all, like at the bottom. Oh wait, oh that's the latest. The latest Mario Party release on that scored a 5.5 out of 10.
Ouch.
Yeah, the other one, the other Mario Party, from what I heard, the Island Tour wasn't too good.
Yeah.
Most Mario Parties recently, I heard, haven't been too good because of the car mechanic and these weird things that just are like they said, Island Tour just seems more about the journey than like the competitive nature, and that's what Mario Party is. It's you're getting holes in your hands because you're spinning the Nintendo 64 controller so fast. You're chucking it across the room because your dad won, and man, just good memories.
Yeah. Well, it was sad when they tried to. I mean, that's the whole point of the game, is to everybody compete with each other, and it's fun, like a board game. And then to make it so nobody has hurt feelings and everybody gets to win, it's like, what? That's not a board game. That's no board game ever in history. No party game, nothing ever has been like that where it's like...
Everybody wins. It's very millennial. Moving on, speaking of Mario Party Color Splash got a new trailer and the game looks gorgeous.
Yes, it does.
That being said, people aren't maybe too pumped about it. It looks to be very much so sticker star. Still, no kind of deconfirmation of that. I think the game will be an adventure
of beauty. I wish they would have done a little better on the trailer. I thought that was a little bit lazy, just how they had just some text come up, like, welcome to a new Paper Mario game.
Yeah.
Show a little clip. It's going to be really cool. Show another little clip. You get to do this. Show another little clip. Instead of just being, like, having it kind of tell its own story and opening up with, like, maybe a little more theatrical and a little more epic and hype, you know? I feel it was a little bit of just like explaining like, here's a new Paper Mario game coming out. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Get excited.
I mean, I'm super pumped for it. I'm gonna get it, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But it does definitely seem like it.
It did make me smile. Just the Nintendo, like we talked about earlier, with just their humor and ability to do subtle things. It's like, yet again, they put a whole bunch of quirky little cute things in this.
Yeah,
it's like
you paint the waterfall, which makes the waterfall go and fill up the water and stuff, and other thing. It looks like there's gonna be some fun puzzle mechanics. It definitely is not on par, I think, with Thousand Year Door, where there's just so much different Toad art and story and narrative. Like that was a true RPG, and this seems more to be like just like kind of a Paper Mario journey. You know, like. I mean, it's turn-based and stuff, but I mean, I don't know. It seems to be, I mean, Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, like, those games aren't super deep in RPG mechanics, but it's being in a South Park world, you know, that people love that RPG. Yeah. And I think this is the same way, where it's all about being in a Nintendo world of charm and color and Mario and Toads and Koopas and all that. Like, it's about that journey, which... I mean, when you have something like Thousand Year Door kind of setting a standard maybe pretty high, it is unfortunate when you get a game like this, but I think you just need to take it for its own merit, and I'm super excited to play it. I need to pick up Sticker Star before it comes out, because I do want to play it. I want to play Paper Jam, because the Mario and Luigi games are so good. And I Paper Jam, I heard that there's like some really annoying things about the Toads in that game.
But I heard it was a step up. Like, it was definitely better than Sticker Star, and it was a good game. But yeah, moving on.
The Zelda studio behind remastering Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, as well as some other like Final Fantasy games and classic role-playing games, has a new RPG coming out. It was a surprise announcement at E3. It's called Ever Oasis. Looks to kind of like a cross between like Animal Crossing, Zelda, Fantasy Life, Final Fantasy, lots of stuff going on. Gonna be definitely like a fun portable RPG for people that would be into that. The studio is Grezzo, by the way, and they showcased that at E3. So if you want to watch the Treehouse live coverage of it, I kind of bowed out at that point. Like I'm like, okay, here's the new game they're announcing. I think we may have heard it was an RPG or something. They may have said that, and we're like, here we go. What's it gonna be? And then it was like Grezzo. I'm like, no way, it's going to be like a RPG Zelda game. And then they showed off more of it, and I'm like, it seems to be leaning more towards like a chibi Final Fantasy sort of thing, which is fine. It seems like some of the dungeon layouts were kind of maybe Zelda inspired.
Some really cool stuff going on there with the puzzle elements.
It's unfortunate they didn't
transforming into the different characters.
Yeah,
they could be a ball, or one had like a shovel thing that he could like get the stones and move those aside, so the guy with the ball could go into little areas, and then it activated these huge like Zelda-like, where this pot was filled with sand or something, and they unlocked a thing where you could almost hear the Zelda like and it like tips over and the sand pours out, and so yeah, I mean it had that feeling of like it seemed almost like they used the same engine as Majora's Mask.
I think they did. They did. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the name. Ever Oasis.
Yeah.
Seems like typical kind of like whatever. We'll call it the Ever Oasis. Like it doesn't seem like a name.
It seems like a very JRPG sort of name.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely excited. I mean, I'm not gonna pick it up.
I'm waiting to hear more from like when people start getting their hands on it and seeing the scores come out. Like, are people really enjoying it? Does it seem like something you must experience?
It's just unfortunate. They should have just been they should have just remastered on their Zelda game. I want to get Twilight Princess 3DS. I want to get. Why didn't they start working on Skyward Sword remastered? Why couldn't they have them work on get some Wind Waker 3DS? You know what I'm saying, yeah. I guess you could say that, yeah. But yeah, really, 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 really cool. It was. I was also surprised we didn't hear anything from Atlas. I guess they're doing. Are they working on the Persona game or whatever, like the Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
They may have shown some of that when we checked out.
Yeah.
Because I know that Tokyo Mirage was supposed to be on there at some point.
Yeah.
And I never saw it.
Moving on, 1:15:02. Sorry we're going a little bit over today, but there's lots of E3 news to cover. Box Boy and Rhythm Heaven eShop hype. Box Boy is coming to the eShop. It's and then also Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix was a surprise announcement that was exclusive to Nintendo 3DS eShop and also was available that day. I think the demo was.
Oh yeah.
I think the game is too.
I'm gonna have to get that because
that looks awesome.
Yeah.
That's like WarioWare basically, but
both games, Box Boy, because I love Box Boy and Rhythm Heaven. I haven't played a Rhythm Heaven game yet, but I love WarioWare so much, and I've seen a lot of the video clips.
Ash Paulson from Game Explain is like a huge advocate for it.
Yep.
Also, I mean, because I'm always up for, I'm getting really into the kind of that indie, just fill up my digital catalog.
Yeah.
I'm always so vain, and I always like big physical release games, and I'm always kind of waiting around for games to get physical releases. Like Rocket League, I didn't jump on for a long time because I wanted the physical release. But then I'm getting kind of like getting the itch for these just all digital games. Just fill up my 3DS with just nonstop play, and those would be good. I'd never played Box Boy, so I want to get on that. And then Rhythm Heaven, obviously a winner. I think that's our shortest snippet of the episode. Moving on, the highs
overall
and lows of E3 2016 with Nintendo. Our thoughts, did it work? Were we disappointed? We had talked about our previews and our expectations last week. Now the show is all said and done. Scale of 1 to 10. Should we... Scale of 1 to 10, E3, or Nintendo at E3, including the booth, the Zelda experience, and their trailers, their social media coverage, and then the treehouse.
Like if we say, are we going like bronze, silver, gold here? Or are we
I'm
going
saying
like a score?
I'm saying 1 to 10.
1 to 10, okay. And I would think it's about a 7.58, 8-ish. I'm going around there.
I'm doing 5, 6, or 7.
Big range there.
Well,
5, 6, or 7. Yeah.
But I mean, in that kind of, probably. I guess I go 6 then.
Yeah.
6.
Okay, I'll go 7.5. I'll go my low.
Yeah,
low point there.
I guess if I said 5, 6,
because my gut
7.
was saying 7.5, and I kind of was going maybe 8 to be generous, because I do feel like they did great with Zelda. The booth was great.
Zelda gives it the 6 points.
Yeah.
Well, Zelda gives it 10 points.
Zelda basically.
The atrocity of everything else brings it down about 5 points. It averages about 6.
There's so much cringe.
Because the thing is, Zelda's a 10.
Yeah.
But Nintendo at E3 is bad. That's a 4. That's terrible. Because here's the thing, and here's what I have written down in the notes. Let me list off some of the stuff that I have.
Okay.
First of all, handled very poorly.
Yeah.
It was late. They started off late. Seemed like Reggie didn't have an exact plan of what he was gonna
His audio was horrible.
Yeah. Seemed like he didn't know how to transition into the trailer well.
He wasn't confident. I felt he was a little nervous. He was a little tense,
which makes sense with the Orlando stuff going on. A lot of people kind of had that initial tense stuff, but even beyond that.
But I felt like, with Sony and with Microsoft both, when
when Sean Layden went on the stage, Sean owned it every time he was out there.
He always does. Though. He's a very good speaker.
No T-shirt tonight, man. Crash Bandicoot, which also we should maybe talk about that. Maybe
he's so politician-y of the Sony.
Phil Spencer is too,
and Well, and Reggie is. A very politician-y too of Nintendo, but I feel like he's a little maybe more sometimes
laid back.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or just a little awkward sometimes.
Yeah, I love that meme of him staring at the Xbox. So handled very poorly. And that's not to knock Nintendo. Their heart was in the right place, but it's not even necessarily like the Nintendo Treehouse is a poor idea. They've done Nintendo Treehouse in the past, where they had a little lower third come out, have the box art of the game, and then a timer like Super Mario 3D World's up in 5 minutes.
They've always done that. Yeah,
and
what happened?
This year, not only did it seem like they had no idea what they were doing next, there was no timer indication or anything as far as when to tune back in. Mm-hmm. There was no that was what kind of kept us watching all day Tuesday, which I think then soiled our image of Zelda, was that we watched all day waiting for something else. because they didn't communicate. They had kind of implied there was going to be other stuff, and then there wasn't, but then it was awkwardly paced, and there was Pokemon all of a sudden. I mean, it was just...
Yeah.
But then the next day they jammed in so much, but then they didn't show off enough of, like, Mario Party. I mean, it was just... The pacing and the planning was completely just train wrecked.
Yeah, and the other thing we should probably mention is that I think you made the point about they'd have somebody come on and show a bit of Zelda, and they'd be like, we're taking a break for a little bit, be sure to wait. And then like 5 hours later, they come back finally with a new group of people, and it's like, oh yeah, so check out this little cool thing. And it's like, oh yeah, we already showed that in the last one.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I guess we'll
Yeah,
because it was like they had no communication, and the person next would just show the same thing the previous person. It was like, no, we want to show off this new element.
And they'd be acting like it was so new and stuff. They're like, now look at this guy. That's actually a Korok from Wind Waker. And they're like, yeah, we've seen 3 of those today. And they're like, oh, okay. And it's just like, did you know you can sled? Yeah, we've seen that today.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and which isn't bad, like, because, I mean, it's all cool in new different ways. Like, I've seen the same thing several times now with watching all the Zelda coverage, but it's just the way they approached it. They're building it up to be like, okay, I'm going to show you guys something really cool. I'm going to go to the top of this mountain. It's like, what are you going to show us up here? Because we may have already seen it. Like, if they would have known, they wouldn't have built it up to be... So, yeah, just the communication between the Treehouse employees, between us and the audience was bad. Because that's the thing, is what sucks now is I'm going back and trying to watch all this other E3 stuff because I wasted my time with Nintendo all day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what they were going to be doing all day. But then you look at something like IGN, where IGN's like, okay, up at 4:20 we're going to have, the creator of Battlefield come on, and then at 4:30 we're having this person come on.
Yeah.
We're going to take a 3-minute break, and we're going to be right back. Keep it locked to IGN. And it's just like, cool, I'm going to go get an ice cream sandwich, go take a pee, and I'll be back in a half hour because I don't care about Battlefield, but I do want to come back and watch Civilization 6. Like, that's important to me. I want to see that. And, like, I would have done that. I would have been like, cool, on Wednesday, I'm not going to watch from 3 to 4 because I don't want to see Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but I do want to see Mario Party. And, like, I would have tuned in at the perfect times and got my E3 fix. Because of that, that was very badly managed. And then there's because of that, too much of a focus on Zelda. And then what's odd enough is they kept showing pictures of the Zelda experience, which is what everyone left with, but they didn't give us a tour of it. And then they also just didn't show the NX, which I know they said they wouldn't, but come on, show it anyway. Yeah. Like, lie to us and go ahead and show it. Yeah. And then my final note here is just crap. And so, I mean, and we'll end out this. We have some talk on VR that I may actually save. Nintendo has some thoughts on VR. In 2 weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to try VR at the PlayStation on the road to greatness. I'm going to try PSVR.
And I'm jelly.
You're jelly?
I'm jelly.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Mall of America in Minneapolis, and they're going to put it on my head and be like, try this, boy. And I'm going to be sitting in the middle of Best Buy like, oh! And then everyone's going to be like, can that guy be quiet? I'm like, guys, I'm on a spaceship! It's going to be really awkward, because people are going to be watching and waiting in line. I'm going to be like, looking around and like looking at the floor and they're like, this guy's an idiot. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. So yeah, we're gonna end out with
I have hands. I have hands. I have hands.
Yeah, from what I've seen, they don't have the PlayStation Move controllers. But yeah, so overall, here's the thing that I learned about E3 this year, because we talked about in our last episode, like what makes a good E3. What makes a good E3 and what every company needs to do next year is don't show a game, any game, in a conference or anything, don't show a game for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's rule number 1. At E3, no game goes longer than 10 minutes, whether that's a demo, on stage, or behind closed doors or whatever. Because even if you're showing IGN, show 10 minutes. And if you show GameSpot, show them the same 10 minutes, but let them interpret it their own way. Like 10 minutes a game max. Probably like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe even less than that. Second, no reason to have the developers on in the conference or up front. Just show the game. Like, that's what Sony did so well, was just game. Hey, Kojima, game. Like, a lot of times Sean Layden was barely out there, and the only time he like really came out was to clarify what Crash Bandicoot was, like what was happening with Crash Bandicoot. He had to say, we're bringing remasters of Crash Bandicoot, so now this Skylanders trailer makes more sense for you. other than that, I'm out because you don't need to. I don't need to come out and be like, now we have a game from Sony Bend. No, Sony Bend logo. Boom, you're good to go. And so like with Pokemon stuff, they could have just been like, here's the new Pokemon thing, here's the new Zelda thing, just show it, move on. And the other thing is I do think you need some sort of hardware at E3. I think that's the big thing missing from Sony's thing is that they didn't show the Neo. There's lots of hype around Xbox's new controllers, around the Slim, and around Project Scorpio. And there would have been tons of hype around the Nintendo NX if they would have shown it. And I think that tangible, here's something that's going to be changing your gaming experience in the upcoming months or years or whatever. I guess Sony did have PlayStation VR. So there was that.
Yeah.
And so you need to have some form of hardware there. And I think that's the big rule of E3. The 3 rules of E3... No more than 10 minutes for one game throughout the whole show, and no quick transitions. Be quick and precise. That was the problem with Ubisoft. 2 hours long. Come on, hurry it up. And then hardware needs to be present somewhere at E3.
Yeah,
and that's what they got so well with the Super Smash Bros. Invitational. Was they had the new GameCube controllers. They had, I guess they did show Smash for more than 10 minutes, but that's a different situation where it's the same thing over and over again. Beyond that, they didn't show too much. They didn't show the other modes. They just showed the battles. And then they were very quick in the digital event that year. So that's why that year was so good. But this year was terrible.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on E3? Fun week.
We
don't get to talk about Xbox and Sony because we're a Nintendo podcast, but I've already designed several Xbox controllers. I'm super hyped. Super excited for PlayStation VR. Very excited for the new Fallout 4 DLC.
Yep.
Gwent's coming out to mobile. That's cool. Really, really fun year for games.
Indeed.
Spider-Man. That looks epic.
Last Guardian got a date finally.
Yeah, I've heard pretty bad things about Last Guardian.
Really?
I've heard it's very much so a PS2 game
Aww.
on the PS4.
That's really sad. That doesn't make any sense. From what we've seen, we saw,
I know.
a demo of it that went on for quite a long time. That seems really advanced.
I hear it plays like a PS. That's why I've heard that though from Kind of Funny. They can be sometimes a little harsh on games that they just want to be harsh on for some reason.
Yeah.
But I had heard that the game seems like it may be suffering from that whole Metroid Federation Force thing, where it's just sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah,
I think it may be suffering from that, where it's like, we don't want to give up on this game, but now we just got to get it out. And so let's just put it out. And I hear it's just kind of just that effect on it, which makes sense. It's
I think
it's gonna be epic though. Just
to
to
some
play
degree, Zelda, I feel, has had a bit of that effect because it was revealed several years ago, and now it's not when it was revealed. It was already in development for many years, and now
probably since 2012, since Skyward Sword finished.
Yeah, and so
or 2011 maybe even.
And so it looked at that time so mind blowing, and now it's looking a little bit less mind blowing.
Yeah, and even more so than with The Last Guardian, which is 10 years old.
Yeah,
10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. I was thinking, let's get this last snippet in here, or should we cut it?
No, I already said that we'll do the VR discussion when I do the VR at the PlayStation experience.
This last little snippet we'll do then? The Reggie's comments?
No, we'll do that later. We'll do that in a future episode.
Okay.
On VR.
Awesome.
We'll talk more about VR in the future.
All right.
And so thank you so much for listening to Koppai Podcast episode 27. We hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, like, subscribe. If you're listening on SoundCloud, be sure to click the like button and share it with your friends. I think you can retrack something, repost it. So be sure to do that. If you're on iTunes, be sure to leave us a review. Let us know what you think or what you like about the show, what you hate about the show. Be gentle. But definitely leave a review because that'll push us up and allow us to grow our audience. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to click the like and subscribe button. If you do subscribe, you're entered to win a monthly amiibo. And you also get notified of when we go live if we ever do live streams, which we do live streams. I want to do some Mario Kart soon. We've done Super Mario Maker in the past. And also, I think that's pretty much it. And so next week we'll have our Game of the Year watch for the first half of 2016. And the week after that we'll have our Patreon preview episode. So no news coverage for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go get married.
Yeah.
And then It's gonna peak the mic so bad. But then after that, in the middle of July, the week after July, the 4th of July, I'll have tried PlayStation VR, and we'll talk about VR. We'll talk about Reggie's thoughts on VR. We'll talk about the latest news from the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
And we'll get back on it. At that point, it'll be Koppai Podcast episode 30.
Yep.
And we're finally back when we do another episode together. That'll be crazy.
Yeah. Everybody go use the restroom before you go to bed tonight so that you don't have any accidents.
Say a prayer to Bill Trinan and Iwata that they reveal the NX soon. Show us the hardware. Show us the controller at the Tokyo Game Show. And go download Box Boy and Mega Mix and go leave a very bad review on Pokemon Go's wristband, Pokemon Go Plus, and let them know that it's utter trash. And hopefully that doesn't disparage Bill from ever being on our show, that we're like trashing the things. But then
because he was like the moderator of that panel.
Yeah, but P.S. I Love You XOXO and Podcast Beyond would always trash Sony and stuff, like name changes and stuff. But then Shu still loves them, Shuhei Yoshida. So I think
we're just honest.
We're honest. We love you, Bill.
We do love Bill.
Just go ahead and hop on the show. Maybe tell us.
And I still love. I mean, Miyamoto was on that panel too, and it's like
he was super pumped about his little wristband thing. He was like showing it off. He had to like clip to his. Yep. You can't see Zach's face right now, but he is a mean Miyamoto impression. Right? Hey, I heard it in the last episode when I ripped out the page, and it sounded so good. So I'm gonna do it again. It was like I think it was like right in the mic last time. And I was like, I'm like, what was that noise? And I'm like, oh, I was ripping out the page. It was so bad. Until next time. I'm all sweaty from your no freaking air conditioning.
And you've been more in the line of fire of the fan.
Well, the chair's in the way though.
Yeah, that's true.
But no. Happy Father's Day, by the way, every father out there.
Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day, Bill Trinan. Or Daddy Sakurai. Yeah, if you wanna dinner soon.
Yeah. But not soon.